All right, what's the slowest part of golf club building? Well, it's waiting for the epoxy to dry, right? So in this video, I've got a little workaround, a little hack you can try. And it's in this box. Let's go. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm AJ, hope you're having a wonderful day. So yeah, what takes the longest in any sort of repair job? It's waiting for the epoxy to cure, right? So depending on whether you're using something like a 3-hour epoxy or maybe a 24-hour epoxy, once you put the clubs together, you just are kind of sitting there twiddling your thumbs. But there are ways to speed up the process, and all those ways really have to do with adding heat to the equation. Now, there are products you can buy, there are tools you can buy that help this process. And that's great, it's doing exactly what we're talking about here, but I really don't like tools like this. They're kind of bulky, they're kind of expensive, and they only do one thing, and that's it. So I've been thinking about this video for a long time, trying to find something that does the same job, but does it in a smaller package and cheaper. And so I've been looking at different options, trying to find something that is basically ready out of the box, plug it in and go. And yes, you could build a hot box, an epoxy curing box out of wood or metal or something and put some sort of heating element in there. You could go through all that, but I really felt like there's got to be something just that's already out there that we could use. Well, I think I found it, and this is it. The mini oven. Now you may have never heard of this before. I hadn't heard of it until I started looking around and doing a lot of research online. But what we've got here is essentially, we'll do a little unboxing, take it out, and what you've got here is what looks like, well, an insulated lunchbox, right? It's soft, it's about 7 inches in length that way and about 9 inches going this way. And inside, it's insulated, okay? Nothing all that extraordinary there. But also, what's inside is this. It's got a hot plate or a heating element in the bottom. So the idea of this is, if you're bringing your lunch to work, something like that, you put your lunch in here an hour, maybe 2-3 hours before you're gonna plan on eating it. You plug it in, it heats it up, and it keeps it hot until you're ready to eat it. And I thought, you know what, that's exactly what we want here. A couple things to note here. This, according to their website, this is made by Hot Logic. Okay, got it on Amazon, cost about $44, I think. The heating element in here gets to about 160 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty perfect, I would say, for what we're trying to do here. It's definitely warmer than the ambient temperature, but it's not going to be any kind of crazy hot that it starts to get dangerous or where you're really worried about keeping a super close eye on it. Now, that being said, what we're doing here today, very obviously, was not what this product was designed for. It was not made to put golf clubs in, it was made to put your lunch in. So, that being said, if you go down this road and try this, make sure you don't just plug it in and then go to the driving range and hit balls or something. If you're going to use this, if you're going to plug it in, be close enough to keep an eye on it just in case, because once again, this isn't what it was designed for. So while I think it's a relatively safe, simple, straightforward product, again, it hasn't been tested for this, so just stay close so you can keep an eye on it. I'm going to go ahead, plug this in, and let it start to warm up. And then I'm going to mix up some epoxy, and we're going to put together 2 golf clubs. First golf club, we're going to use my typical, call it like a 3-hour epoxy is kind of how long it takes to fully cure. The other golf club, we're going to go ahead and use 24-hour epoxy. Now, the 24-hour epoxy usually takes at least, they call it 24, but let's say it's at least 12 hours usually before it's ready to do anything with. So we'll do 1 club with the 3, we'll do 1 club with that 24, and then we'll put them in the mini oven for about an hour. We'll come back and we'll see what's happened. And number 2 into the box. And now I'm just going to zip it up as far as we can get it, just to help it heat a little better and a little more evenly. I've got a little bit of aluminum foil that we're going to put over here in this gap where the hosels are extending out beyond the top of the box. Okay, right now it is 10:37 Eastern Standard Time. We're going to come back in about an hour and see how this epoxy has progressed. Okay, it's been about an hour and a half total, 12:13 here. I went and unplugged the mini oven about 15 minutes ago or so. Basically, it was about an hour and 10 minutes or so of with the heat on. I unplugged it, so it's just been sort of sitting here cooling down. I'm gonna take all this stuff off, and then I'm gonna take these out carefully and let them rest for a few minutes to come back down to room temperature, because they do feel pretty warm. Be aware of that. If you're doing this, the metal conducting heat is gonna get pretty warm, so probably want to use gloves when you're moving stuff around once they are finished cooking, if you will, in the mini oven. Okay, it's been a few more minutes, trying to just let everything cool down basically to room temperature, or bring it back down to close to that. This guy now is maybe a few degrees warmer than room temperature, but definitely not hot. I can easily hold it without any issues whatsoever. Again, point of reference, this is the epoxy that we used for that club. As you can see, it's definitely getting firmer, but it's still very pliable. I can still mush it around. I can still twist the stick, and this was just sitting out at room temperature, so it's still somewhat soft. However, this guy that's now been in the mini oven for about an hour and a half total, I guess, is now, we can see any movement, and I would say no. Yeah, grip's still in the same place. So this guy's definitely on here without any issue. Now, the bigger question mark comes with the 24-hour epoxy, because that's a much longer cure time in general. This epoxy, as you can see, is still very soft. I mean, we could even call this, I don't know, thick syrup, call it runny, but very obviously not set. We're gonna see what happens here. This guy is still warm to the touch. Probably, yeah, it's about the same as the other one. It's a little bit warmer than room temperature. Hold it up close. You can see if you see any movement. Yeah, I don't see any movement there. So this actually worked in about an hour and a half total. 24-hour epoxy is hard, and I would say you could play this club now. If you're using 24-hour epoxy and you want to try this method, I would say probably 2 hours is a pretty good idea. For shorter epoxies, an hour should be more than enough. All right, a couple other little tips that I've figured out from doing this now a couple times. One is, again, after you get to the amount of time in the mini oven, unplug it, let it start to cool down on its own. Do not actually start trying to manipulate the golf clubs until they have come back down to close to room temperature. If they are still up at 160 degrees or 170 degrees, whatever it is on there, and you start trying to twist them around, I think there is a chance the whole thing kind of goes sideways on you, because at that temperature, the epoxy is going to be softer. It needs to come back down after it's been at the higher temperature, come back down to room temperature so that it's fully set. All right, there you go. Hot Logic mini oven. It's not just for your lunch, it's for building golf clubs. I just saved you a bunch of time, a bunch of money, so you're welcome. Remember, not to beat a dead horse, but safety, safety, safety. If you're gonna do this, do not leave it. Keep an eye on it, keep watch on it. Gloves, goggles, all the usual safety stuff, and just use common sense, use your head, and this should work out great for you. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, please go down below, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you'll be alerted when I post new videos. Make sure you check out my other channel, Elite Fit Golf. I've got a lot of good stuff over there, so watch those videos and subscribe to that channel. You can find me on Instagram at Mobile Clubmaker, and I will see you next time. Bye.